Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the research ship, Horizon's Edge. The stars outside the window looked like tiny diamonds against black cloth. He had been staring at them for hours, thinking about home. Earth was 3 months. Behind them now, 3 long months of empty space and silent planets. "Captain, we're getting something strange on the radio," said Ryan Cole from his station. Ryan was young, maybe 25, with brown hair that never stayed neat. He had been the ship's navigator for 2 years. His fingers moved fast across the control panel. Jake turned his chair around. "What kind of strange? It's not from any human ship. The signal is coming from far away. Very far away." Ryan's voice was excited, but worried. "I think it might be aliens." Lisa Warren looked up from her engineering station. She was a tough woman with short black hair and grease under her fingernails. Lisa could fix anything that broke on the ship. "Aliens? Are you sure? We've never found real aliens before." "I'm sure," Ryan said. "The signal is repeating every few minutes. It's not like our radio signals at all." Dr. Amy Brooks walked over from the medical bay. She was tall and thin, with long red hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Amy took care of the crew when they got sick or hurt. She was also very smart about alien life forms. "Can we understand what they're saying?" "The computer is working on it," Ryan answered. "It might take a few minutes." Jake stood up and walked to Ryan's station. The other crew members gathered around too. There were only 20 people on the ship. They all knew each other well. They had been traveling together for a long time, looking for new planets and studying space. "There," Ryan said suddenly. The computer figured it out. A voice filled the bridge. It sounded scared and desperate. The words were strange at first, but then the computer changed them into English. "Please, anyone who can hear this message. We need help. Our world is dying. The Korthax ships are everywhere. They are killing our people. We have tried to fight, but we are not warriors. We are farmers and teachers and artists. We do not know how to fight. Please, if there is anyone out there who can help us, we beg you to come. Our children are hiding in caves. Our cities are burning. We will all be dead soon if no one helps us. This is Commander Vexthal of the planet Zephyria. Please help us." The bridge went quiet. Everyone looked at each other with wide eyes. Jake felt his heart beating fast. "Play it again," he said quietly. They listened to the message 3 more times. Each time it sounded more desperate. The alien called Vexthal was trying not to cry, but Jake could hear the fear in his voice. "How far away are they?" Jake asked. Ryan checked his computer. "About 6 days' travel at full speed." "But Captain, we're just a research ship. We don't have weapons. We don't have soldiers." Lisa crossed her arms. "Who are these Korthax they're talking about?" "I don't know," Amy said. "But it sounds like they're attacking the other aliens. The ones asking for help." Jake walked back to his chair. He sat down and put his head in his hands. As captain, he had to make hard choices. But this felt bigger than anything he had ever decided before. "Sir," said a voice from behind him. It was Tony White, the ship's security chief. Tony was a big man with strong arms and a deep voice. He used to be a soldier before he joined the research team. "We should at least go look. Maybe we can do something?" "Like what?" Ryan asked. "We have no weapons except some small guns. If these Korthax are attacking a whole planet, what can we do?" "I don't know," Tony said. "But we're humans. We've always figured things out before." Jake looked around at his crew. These people trusted him. They would follow him anywhere. But was it right to take them into danger for aliens they had never met? "Captain," Amy said softly, "what if it was Earth? What if someone was attacking our planet? Wouldn't we want other people to help us?" Lisa nodded. "She's right. If we don't try to help, who will?" "The message is being sent to lots of different places in space," Ryan added. Maybe other aliens will help them. Or maybe no one will, Tony said. Maybe we're the only ones who heard it. Maybe we're the only ones who care. Jake stood up again. He walked to the big window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, people were dying. Children were hiding in caves while their world burned. It didn't matter that they were aliens. They were living beings who needed help. He turned back to his crew. Lisa, how fast can we get there? If we push the engines hard, maybe 5 days, she answered. Do it. Ryan, set course for their planet. Send a message back to Earth. Tell them what we found and where we're going. Jake's voice was strong and clear. Tony, check our weapons and supplies. Amy, learn everything you can about these aliens and the ones attacking them. Yes, sir, they all said together. As the ship turned toward the alien world, Jake felt scared and excited at the same time. They were about to meet real aliens for the first time. But they were also flying into a war zone. The horizon's edge flew through space faster than ever before. Behind them, Earth grew smaller and smaller. Ahead of them waited the unknown. None of them knew that this day would change everything. Not just for them, but for all humans everywhere. In the darkness of space, one small human ship raced toward a dying world. The aliens had cried for rescue, and the humans had answered the call. The horizon's edge landed on Earth after the fastest trip Jake had ever made. The crew had spent 5 days learning everything they could about the alien signal. Amy had worked day and night to understand the alien language better. Lisa had studied their technology. Ryan had mapped the stars to find the best route to their world. But when they reached Earth, Jake knew they needed more help. One small research ship could not save a whole planet. The meeting room in the Earth Defense building was full of important people. Jake sat at a long table with admirals, generals, and politicians. The room smelled like coffee and fear. Everyone was talking at once. You want us to do what? Asked Director Paul Martinez. He was a fat man with a red face and loud voice. You want us to fly our ships into a war we don't understand, to help aliens we've never met. Admiral Kate Fisher leaned forward. She was older than Jake, with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had fought in 3 wars and never lost a battle. Paul, these people are asking for help. If we can save them, shouldn't we try? But what if we can't save them? Paul shot back. What? If we just get our people killed? What if these Korthax decide to attack Earth next? Dr. Ben Clark stood up. He was the Earth's best expert on alien life, even though he had never seen a real alien before today. We've been waiting for this moment for 50 years. First contact with alien life. And now we find out they need our help. This could be the most important thing humans have ever done. Or the most stupid, said General Rick Stone. He was a soldier like Tony, but older and more careful. We don't know anything about these aliens. How do we know they're telling the truth? How do we know this isn't a trap? Jake played the alien message again. The desperate voice of Commander Vexdell filled the room. When it ended, everyone was quiet for a moment. That doesn't sound like a trap to me, Admiral Fisher said. That sounds like people who are about to die. While the humans argued, something else was happening far away in space. The Galactic Confederation was having their own meeting about the same message. The Confederation was a group of many alien species. They met on a space station that looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly among the stars. Inside the station, aliens of all shapes and sizes sat around a huge circular table. The Quinn looked like tall, thin people made of metal and glass. They were very smart and built amazing machines. Zix9 spoke for all the Quinn. We have received the distress call from Zephyria. The Korthax Empire has indeed invaded their world. An Etherian named Luminous Dawn floated above the table. The Etherians looked like clouds of bright light that could think and talk. This is very sad, but what can we do? The Korthax have a huge army. They have conquered 12 worlds in the last 10 years. Exactly, said another alien. This one looked like a giant lizard with 6 arms. The Korthax are too strong. If we fight them, they will just attack our worlds too. But we cannot just let them kill innocent people, said a small alien that looked like a walking flower. The Zilani have never hurt anyone. They only want to grow food and make art. Then maybe they should have learned to fight, hissed the lizard alien. The galaxy is not safe for weak species. 6ix9ine's metal face could not show emotions, but his voice sounded sad. We have run the calculations. Any battle against the Korthax fleet would end in defeat. We would lose many ships and save no one. So we do nothing, asked the flower alien. We do nothing, Luminous Dawn agreed. It is the wise choice. But one alien was not at the meeting. A small scout ship had been near Earth when the humans received the distress call. The alien inside was called Piptor. He belonged to a species called the Watchers. They were small and quick, and their job was to watch other species from far away. Piptor had seen the human ship change course and fly towards Zephoria. This confused him. According to the Galactic database, humans came from a Class 12 death world. No intelligent life was supposed to live on such dangerous planets. He looked up Earth in the computer. What he read made his eyes go wide. Earth had poisonous air that could burn lungs. It had huge storms that threw lightning and wind strong enough to destroy buildings. The planet had earthquakes that split the ground open. It had giant waves of water that could wash away whole cities. The weather changed from burning hot to freezing cold. Dangerous animals with sharp teeth and claws lived everywhere. The computer said that most galactic species would die on Earth in less than 1 day. How do these humans survive on such a terrible world? Piptor wondered out loud. Back on Earth. The meeting was getting louder. Half the people wanted to help the aliens. Half wanted to stay safe at home. We have 12 warships, Admiral Fisher said. The Defiant, the Iron Will, the New Dawn, and 9 others. They're good ships, with good crews. 12 ships against how many? Paul asked. Dr. Ben Clark checked his computer. Our best guess is about 200 Korthax ships around the alien planet. The room went quiet again. 200 against 12 was not good odds. Wait, said Jake suddenly. What if we're thinking about this wrong? What if being outnumbered is not the real problem? What do you mean? Admiral Fisher asked. Dr. Clark, what did you learn about these Korthax? How do they fight? Ben looked at his notes. They seem to use brute force. Big ships, big guns, attacks. They are used to winning because they have more ships than anyone else. And the Zilani, the ones being attacked, they're peaceful. They've never fought a war before. They don't even have real weapons on their ships. Jake stood up. So the Korthax are used to fighting people who give up easily. What if they meet people who don't give up? What if they meet people who are used to fighting for their lives every single day? Lisa, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. The captain's right. We humans have been fighting to survive since we learned to walk. Every storm, every earthquake, every dangerous animal on Earth has tried to kill us, and we're still here. That's different, General Stone said. Those are natural disasters. This is war. No, Tony said firmly. War is just another kind of disaster, and humans are very good at surviving disasters. Admiral Fisher smiled for the first time all day. You know what? They're right. Maybe we can't match the Korthax ship for ship, but maybe we can outthink them. Maybe we can outfight them. The vote was close. 7 people said yes, 5 said no, but yes was enough. We're really doing this, Admiral Fisher said. We're going to war with aliens to save other aliens. As the meeting ended, Jake felt proud and scared at the same time. In a few days, human ships would fly into space to fight their first war against aliens. None of them knew that other aliens were watching. None of them knew that the galaxy was about to learn something new about the species from the dangerous world called Earth. 2 weeks later, the human fleet was ready to leave Earth. Jake stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, the biggest warship humans had ever built. Through the window, he could see 11 other ships floating in space like metal sharks ready to hunt. The Iron Will was now his ship to command. Admiral Fisher had given him the job because he was the first human to hear the alien cry for help. Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. 2,000 human lives were now in his hands. "All ships report ready, Captain," said Ryan Cole. He had asked to stay with Jake instead of going back to the research ship. "The New Dawn, the Defiant, and all the others are waiting for your orders." Lisa Warren was still the chief engineer, but now she had a whole team working with her. For 2 weeks, they had been making changes to the human ships. The changes were based on what they had learned about living on Earth. "Tell me about the shield modifications," Jake said. Lisa wiped grease from her hands and smiled. "It's brilliant, really. Earth gets hit by solar storms all the time, storms that would fry the electronics on most alien worlds, but we learned to build shields that can handle it." "How does that help us fight?" "Alien weapons work like solar storms, but stronger. Our new shields should be able to take more damage than the Korthax expect. They're used to enemy shields breaking after a few hits." Dr. Amy Brooks walked over with a small bottle in her hand. "And I've got something else. Combat medicine based on human biology." She held up the bottle. Inside was a clear liquid. "This is synthetic adrenaline mixed with other chemicals. When humans get scared or angry, our bodies make adrenaline naturally. It makes us stronger and faster. This does the same thing, but much stronger." "Is it safe?" Jake asked. "For humans, yes. We tested it on volunteers. It makes people fight harder and feel less pain, but it only works for about an hour, then they need to rest." Captain Sam Rodriguez walked onto the bridge. He was the commander of the New Dawn, the fleet's assault carrier. Sam was short and tough, with scars on his face from an old accident. "My Marines are ready, Jake. Major Tony White has been training them non-stop." "Training them for what?" "Boarding actions. If we're going to win this fight, we might need to get inside enemy ships. Tony has been teaching the Marines how to fight in zero gravity, how to cut through alien metal, how to survive in enemy ship atmospheres." The ship's alarm rang softly. "Captain," said Alex Kim from the communication station, "we're getting a message from the Zalani homeworld. Put it through." The voice that came through the speakers was weak and tired. "This is Commander Vexthal. If anyone is listening, please, hurry. The Korthax have destroyed 6 of our cities. Millions of our people are dead. We are hiding in underground tunnels, but they are finding us. Please, if anyone is coming to help us, come quickly." Jake closed his eyes. Every day they delayed, more aliens died. All ships prepared to jump to hyperspace. "We leave in 1 hour." As the human fleet prepared to leave, another ship was also traveling through space. It was small and damaged, with burn marks on its hull. Inside were the last survivors from a Zalani rescue ship. The ship's pilot was barely alive. His name was Kivtal, and he was young for a Zalani. He had 6 arms and soft green fur covering his body. His big eyes were filled with tears as he piloted the broken ship away from his dying homeworld. "Computer, scan for any ships nearby," he said in a weak voice. "Scanning," the computer replied in the musical language of the Zalani. "I detect 12 ships traveling at high speed toward Zephyria." Kivtal's heart stopped for a moment. Zalani had 2 hearts, and both of them were beating fast with fear. "Are they Korthax ships?" "Negative. The design is unknown. They appear to be from an unregistered species. Send them a message. Tell them not to go to Tell them it's too dangerous." Message sent. "We are receiving a reply." A new voice came through the radio. It spoke in a language Kiftel had never heard before, but his computer translated it. Unknown ship. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human fleet. We received your warning, but we are going to Zephoria to help the Zilani. Are you Zilani yourself? Kiftal could barely believe what he was hearing. Someone was coming to help. Yes, I am Zilani. My name is Kiftal. But you must not go to my world. The Korthax have too many ships. You will all die. How many ships do they have? More than 200. They have dreadnoughts the size of small moons. Their weapons can destroy a city with one shot. There was silence for a moment. Then the human spoke again. Kiftal, can you come aboard our ship? We need to learn everything you can tell us about the Korthax. You still plan to go, even knowing how many ships they have? Yes, someone has to help your people. Kiftal began to cry. He had thought his people were doomed, but these humans were still coming, even against impossible odds. An hour later, Kiftal was aboard the Iron Will. He had never seen humans before. They looked strange to him, with only 2 arms and no fur. But their eyes were kind, and they listened carefully to everything he said. The Korthax are big and strong, he explained. They have thick skin like armor and sharp claws. They are used to winning fights quickly. Most species surrender as soon as they see the Korthax fleet. What about their technology? Lisa asked. Their ships are powerful but simple. They rely on heavy armor and big guns. They don't expect enemies to be clever or tricky. That's good news, Tony said. We can work with that. Dr. Amy examined Kiftal and learned about Zilani biology. They're herbivores. She explained to Jake later. They eat only plants. They've never been predators. Fighting is not natural to them, unlike humans, Jake said. Exactly. Humans have been hunters and fighters for thousands of years. It's in our nature. As the human fleet traveled through hyperspace, they continued to plan and prepare. Lisa worked on new weapon modifications. Amy prepared medical supplies for both humans and Zilani. Tony trained his Marines for combat in alien environments. Jake studied everything they knew about the Korthax. The aliens were strong and had good weapons, but they seemed to have one weakness. They expected easy victories. They were used to enemies who gave up quickly. Computer, show me Earth's military history, Jake said. Images filled the screen. Pictures of ancient warriors fighting with spears and shields, soldiers in trenches during world wars, pilots flying through storms to bomb enemy targets, Marines charging up beaches under heavy fire. Kiftal, Jake said, has any species ever defeated the Korthax? The alien's ears drooped sadly. No, they have conquered every world they have attacked. Then it's time for them to meet a species that doesn't know how to quit. On the bridge of the Iron Will, the countdown timer showed 18 hours until they reached Zephoria. 18 hours until the first battle between humans and an alien empire. Jake looked around at his crew. These people had families back on Earth. They had comfortable lives and bright futures. But they were all here, ready to risk everything for aliens they had never met. Captain, Ryan said, long-range sensors are picking up the Zephyrius system. And sir, ... there are a lot of enemy ships. How many? 237 Korthax vessels. And sir, some of them are really big. Jake nodded. The odds were even worse than they had thought. But it was too late to turn back now. The human fleet was committed to this course in a few hours. They would find out if courage and determination could overcome superior numbers. They would find out if the species from the death world called Earth could do what no one else in the galaxy had ever done. They would find out if humans really were different from everyone else. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyria system. What they saw made everyone go quiet with shock. The planet Zephyria hung in space like a wounded animal. Half of it was covered in dark smoke from burning cities. Red lights blinked across the surface where Korthax ships were bombing the ground. 3 moons circled the planet, and enemy ships moved between them like hungry wolves. "Dear God," whispered Ryan Cole, "look at all of them." Jake stared at the tactical display. 237 enemy ships surrounded the planet. Most were as big as the Iron Will, but 6 of them were monsters, dreadnoughts the size of mountains floating in space. "Sir," said Alex Kim from communications, "we're being scanned by the enemy fleet. Any response from them?" "Not yet, I think. They're trying to figure out what we are." Captain Sam Rodriguez's voice came through the radio from the New Dawn. "Jake, my sensors are showing massive firepower on those big ships. If they all shoot at us at once, I know, Sam, but we're not going to give them that chance." Jake turned to his crew. "Remember the plan. We use the moons for cover. Hit and run attacks. Make them chase us." Kivtal stood beside Jake, his 6 arms shaking with fear and hope. "Captain, I'm reading life signs from the planet's surface. My people are still alive down there. Not many, but some. That's what we're here for," Jake said. Then he opened a channel to all human ships. "All vessels, this is Morrison. Execute Plan Delta. Use the moons as shields. Target the smaller ships first. Do not engage the dreadnoughts until I give the order." The human fleet split into 3 groups. 4 ships headed for each moon. They moved fast, using the natural satellites to hide from enemy sensors. On the bridge of the largest Korthax dreadnought, General Korthvek studied the strange new ships. He was huge, even for a Korthax, with black armor covering his thick skin. His red eyes glowed with anger and confusion. "What are these ships?" he demanded. "They are not in our database." "Unknown, General," replied his aide. "But they are small. Only 12 vessels total." Korthvex laughed, a sound like grinding metal. 12 ships. Someone thinks 12 ships can challenge the might of the Korthax Empire. Deploy 50 vessels to destroy them. This will be over quickly. The first group of Korthax ships moved toward the nearest moon. They expected an easy battle. They were wrong. The human ships came out from behind the moon like angry wasps. The Iron Will led the charge, its weapons firing at maximum power. But something strange happened. The Korthax ship they hit should have been destroyed quickly. Instead, its shields held. "What?" General Korthvex stared at his screens. "How are their shields so strong?" Lisa Warren smiled on the Iron Will bridge. "Solar storm modifications working perfectly, Captain. Their weapons can't break through. Our shields as fast as they expected." The human ships swooped and dived between the enemy vessels like fighters from ancient Earth wars. The Korthax ships were bigger and stronger, but they were also slower and less agile. "All ships, execute boarding plan," Jake ordered. This was the most dangerous part. Small shuttles launched from the New Dawn, carrying Major Tony White and his Marines. They flew through the battle, dodging energy blasts and explosions. "Tony, can you hear me?" Jake called on the radio. "Loud and clear, Captain. We're approaching the enemy cruiser now." The Marine shuttles attached to the hull of a ship like ticks on a dog. The Marines cut through the alien metal with tools designed for mining on dangerous worlds. Within minutes, they were inside the enemy ship. What happened next shocked the Korthax. The human Marines fought like demons from their worst nightmares. They moved through the ship's corridors like they owned them. When Korthax soldiers tried to stop them, the humans fought with a ferocity that terrified the aliens. The Korthax were used to species that fought in organized formations, following rules of war, but humans had learned to fight in the jungles, in deserts of Earth. They used every trick, every advantage, every dirty tactic they could think of. They're like wild animals. One Korthax soldier screamed into his radio before a human Marine tackled him. Dr. Amy's combat drugs helped the Marines fight harder and longer than should have been possible. They felt no fear, no pain, only the need to complete their mission. Target. Secured, Tony reported. The ship is ours. Good work. Move to the next target. But General Korthvex was learning. These creatures fight differently than anything we've seen before. Deploy 100 ships. Surround them. Don't let them hide behind the moons. The battle grew larger and more violent. More Korthax ships joined the fight. The humans were outnumbered 20-1, but they kept fighting. They used every trick they knew. Captain Rodriguez, on the New Dawn, performed a maneuver that made his crew sick, but destroyed 2 enemy ships. He flew his carrier directly at a Korthax vessel, then spun away at the last second, while firing all weapons. Sam, that was insane, Jake yelled over the radio. Insane works against these guys, Sam replied. They don't expect crazy moves. The battle raged for hours. Human ships darted in and out of cover, striking fast and disappearing before the enemy could respond. The Korthax lost ship after ship to tactics they had never seen before, but the humans were taking damage too. The Defiant lost its main engines and had to retreat. 2 smaller ships were destroyed when they got caught in the open between moons. Captain, Alex reported. We're getting a message from the planet's surface. An old voice came through the speakers. This is Elder Nixfell, speaking for the surviving Zelani. We see the battle in our sky. We see ships fighting for us. Please tell us, who are you? Why do you risk your lives for strangers? Jake looked at Kivtal, who nodded encouragement. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Fleet. We're here because someone asked for help. That's enough reason for us. There was silence for a moment. Then the elder spoke again, and his voice was full of wonder. In all our history, no species has ever come to help another without expecting something in return. You are a miracle. Save the celebration for after we win, Jake said. But he smiled as he said it. The tide of battle began to turn. The Korthax had expected a quick victory, but the humans kept fighting no matter how many ships they faced. The enemy's formations became confused as they tried to adapt to human tactics. General, a Korthax officer reported to Korthvex, we have lost 47 ships. The unknown vessels continue to resist. 47 ships, lost to 12. Korthvex's voice was filled with rage and disbelief. What manner of creatures are these, sir? I recommend we withdraw some forces and regroup. Never. Deploy the dreadnoughts. If these creatures want a real fight, we'll give them one. The 6 massive dreadnoughts began to move. Each one was armed with weapons that could destroy cities. Their approach changed everything about the battle. Captain, Ryan said urgently, the big ships are moving. If they get in range, ... Jake looked at the tactical display. The dreadnoughts were slow, but incredibly powerful. If they caught the human fleet in the open, it would be over quickly. All ships, fall back to defensive positions. Use the moons for cover. But as the humans retreated, something unexpected happened. The planet's surface began to glow with new lights. Emergency shelters that had been hidden underground started opening. Thousands of Zelani emerged, no longer hiding in fear. What's happening down there? Jake asked, KIV-Tal. The young alien's eyes were shining with tears of joy. My people see you fighting for them. They see that someone cares enough to risk everything. It's giving them hope. For the first time since the invasion began, they have hope. General Korthvex saw the lights on the planet too. He realized that his easy conquest was becoming a disaster. These humans were not just fighting his fleet, they were inspiring the very people he was trying to conquer. Destroy them all, he ordered, planet moons, and those cursed human ships. Destroy everything. The dreadnoughts charged their main weapons. In a few minutes, they would fire enough energy to crack the planet's surface. The final battle was about to begin. The 6 Korthax dreadnoughts moved into position around the planets of Freya. Their massive weapons began to charge with deadly energy. General Korthvex had decided to end this battle by destroying everything, the planet, the moons, and the stubborn humans who refused to die? Captain, they're charging planet-killer weapons, Alex Kim reported from his station. His voice was tight with fear. Estimated time to full charge, 12 minutes. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, watching the tactical display. 12 minutes to save a world and its people. 12 minutes to prove that humans belonged among the stars. All ships, this is Morrison, he said into his communicator. They want to destroy the planet rather than lose to us. That tells us something important. They're scared. Scared of 12 ships. Captain Rodriguez asked over the radio. Scared of what 12 ships can do. We've already destroyed more of their fleet than they thought possible. Now they're acting desperate. Jake paused, thinking quickly. And desperate enemies make mistakes. Dr. Amy Brooks looked up from her medical station. Captain, I've been monitoring the human crews across the fleet. The combat drugs are working, but some people are getting tired. We need to end this soon. Understood. Lisa, what's our weapons status? Lisa Warren wiped sweat from her face. The engineering section was hot from the overcharged systems. We're running at maximum power. But I don't think our weapons can punch through those dreadnought shields. They're just too big. Kivtal moved closer to Jake. The young Zelani had been watching the battle with amazement and growing hope. Captain, there might be another way. The Korthax dreadnoughts have a weakness. What kind of weakness? Their power systems are very centralized. If you could overload their main reactor, the explosion would destroy the entire ship. But you would have to get inside the ship to do it. Tony White's voice crackled over the communicator. Captain, this is Major White. My Marines are ready for another boarding action. Just point us at the biggest target. Jake looked at the display showing the nearest dreadnought. It was the size of a small city, bristling with weapons and armor. Taking a boarding party inside would be suicide. Tony, that ship is too well defended. We'd never get shuttles close enough. Then we don't use shuttles, Tony replied. We use something they won't expect. Jake realized what Tony was thinking. You want to ram them, not ram board. The Iron Will has the strongest shields in the fleet. If we hit them at the right angle, we might be able to punch through their hull and stick there long enough for my team to get inside. It was the most dangerous plan Jake had ever heard. If it failed, the Iron Will and everyone on it would be destroyed. But if they did nothing, the planet would die anyway. Sam, can the New Dawn cover us during the approach? We'll give you all the cover we can, Captain Rodriguez promised. Lisa, can our ship survive a ramming attack? Lisa checked her instruments quickly. Maybe, if we hit them at exactly the right spot, and if our shields hold, and if we don't explode on impact. She looked up at Jake. It's crazy enough that it might work. Jake made his decision. All ships except Iron Will. Keep the smaller. Enemy vessels busy. We're going after the command dreadnought. The Iron will turn toward the largest Korthax ship. Its engines pushed the human vessel faster than it had ever gone before. Around them, the rest of the human fleet created chaos, drawing enemy fire away from Jake's ship. General Korthax watched the human ship approach on his main screen. What are they doing? Do they think one ship can challenge my flagship? Sir, they're coming very fast. Too fast for a normal attack run. Then destroy them. All weapons, fire. The space around the Iron will filled with energy blasts and explosions. But Lisa's shield modifications held. The human ship flew through the attack like a bullet through rain. 30 seconds to impact, Ryan called out. All hands, brace for collision. The crew grabbed onto whatever they could find. In the Marine Bay, Tony White and 50 of his best soldiers prepared for the most dangerous mission of their lives. 20 seconds. Shields holding at 60%, Lisa reported. 10 seconds. Jake held his breath. Everything depended on the next few moments. The Iron will hit the Korthax dreadnought like a hammer hitting an egg. But instead of bouncing off, The human ship's reinforced bow punched through the alien hull. Metal screamed and twisted as the two ships locked together. "We're in," Tony shouted. "Marines, move out." The human soldiers poured through the breach in the dreadnought's hull. They found themselves in a massive corridor filled with shocked Korthax warriors. The aliens were huge and scary, but they had never faced anything like human Marines. Hopped up on combat drugs and fighting to save a world. The battle inside the ship was fierce and fast. The Korthax were strong, but the humans were desperate. They fought through corridor after corridor, heading for the ship's reactor core. "Jake, we've got a problem," Lisa called from the engineering deck. "The iron will is stuck in their hull, but their weapons are trying to cut us free. If they succeed, we'll be blown apart." "How long do we have?" "Maybe 5 minutes." On the bridge of the dreadnought, General Korthax was screaming orders. "Stop them. They're heading for the reactor. If they reach it," but his soldiers could not stop the humans. The Marines moved like they were possessed, fighting with a fury that terrified the Korthax. These creatures from the unknown world fought like nothing the Empire had ever seen. Tony White led his team into the reactor chamber. It was a huge room filled with machinery that hummed with deadly energy. In the center was the main reactor core, glowing with purple light. "How do we overload it?" Tony asked. One of his Marines, a woman named Kelly Nash, had been an engineer before joining the military. "We need to remove the control rods and disable the safety systems. That should cause a chain reaction." "How long will that take?" 3 minutes. "If we work fast, do it." While Kelly and her team worked on the reactor, Tony and the other Marines held the entrances to the chamber. More Korthax soldiers arrived every minute, trying to stop the humans from destroying their ship. The fighting was brutal. The aliens were bigger and stronger, but the humans were smarter and more determined. They used the reactor chamber itself as a weapon, turning the Korthax's strength against them. "Done," Kelly shouted. "Reactor overload in 60 seconds. All Marines, fall back to the iron will," Tony ordered. The humans ran through the corridors of the dying dreadnought. Behind them, alarms screamed and lights flashed as the great ship began to tear itself apart. They reached the iron will, just as Lisa managed to break the ships apart. The human vessel pulled away from the dreadnought, its hull scarred but intact. "All crew, hold on," Jake shouted. The Korthax flagship exploded in a ball of purple fire. The blast was so huge it could be seen from the planet's surface, where the great dreadnought had been. There was now only empty space and glowing debris. The other 5 dreadnoughts stopped charging their planet-killer weapons. Their crews stared in shock at the place where their command ship had been. "Impossible," whispered one Korthax officer. "How could 12 small ships destroy our flagship?" But the humans were not done. Inspired by their success, the rest of the human fleet attacked the remaining dreadnoughts with renewed fury. They used every trick they knew, every advantage their Deathworld origins had given them. Captain Rodriguez led a desperate attack on the second dreadnought. The New Dawn and 3 other ships hit it from different angles, confusing its defenses. Major Tony White, somehow still alive and fighting, led another boarding action. One by one, the great Korthax ships fell. Each victory cost the humans dearly. 2 more human ships were destroyed, and hundreds of brave men and women died in the battles. But they kept fighting. The surviving Korthax ships began to retreat. They had never seen anything like these humans, species that faced the Korthax Empire usually surrendered quickly, but these creatures fought harder when the odds got worse. "General Korthax is dead," reported a Korthax admiral from one of the remaining ships. "All dreadnoughts destroyed. Recommend immediate withdrawal." The Korthax fleet fled into hyperspace, leaving the humans in control of the Zephoria system. On the planet's surface, millions of Zilani emerged from their hiding places. They looked up at the sky, where the human ship still flew, and they wept with joy. For the first time in months, Their world was free. "This is Elder Nixvel," came a voice from the planet. "To the humans who saved us, we owe you a debt that can never be repaid. You risked everything for people you had never met. This day will be remembered forever." Jake Morrison sat in his captain's chair, exhausted but proud. Around him, his crew worked to repair their damaged ship. They had done the impossible. They had defeated an empire. "Captain," Alex Kim said quietly, "we're receiving messages from all over the galaxy. Other alien species heard about the battle. They want to know who we are and where we came from." "What should I tell them?" Jake thought for a moment. "Tell them we're humans. We're from a planet called Earth, and if anyone else needs help, they can call us. We'll answer." News of the human victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. The Galactic Confederation was shocked. Species that had considered themselves safe in their neutrality suddenly realized that courage could defeat superior numbers.